Is March DDA meeting, Downtown Development Authority. It is Wednesday, March 18th, and it is 6 p.m. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ms. Harper, do you mind doing roll call?
Okay. David Gittens,
Present.
Terry Hansen,
Here.
Sam Morocco,
Here.
John Dolan,
Here.
Gus Tuna,
Here.
and Chuck File, absent.
Yep. So moving on, item D, approval of the minutes from our last meeting, January 21st, 2026. Somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Or any changes need to be made?
I didn't see the minutes.
Yeah, they're in here.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 21st, 2026 regular meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Dick, do you still have a copy over there, an extra copy?
Sorry, I would have handed it to you, but it looked like you already had one.
I brought my own home.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Was on silent.
Moving on to item E, which is presentations. We've got, are you going to do that now, or are you going to wait till we get down to reports?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Anxious.
No, it's all right. We'll wait, and then we've got item F, which is public comment. I don't believe we have anybody watching, and we don't have anybody present, so we'll move past that. Item G, review of the agenda. Are there any additions that need to be made?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add light pole flag discussion under I3.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of adding that?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Okay. We'll add that to I3.
And I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Second that.
All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Line item H, financial matters. We're going to discuss the balance report from February.
I'm sorry.
No, we're on the balance report.
Very simply. So far, your finances are in good shape. As of the end of February, the current fund balance for the DDA is almost $413,000 as a fund balance. And, of course, you will be, that would include all the winter tax collections. So that does not include any of what you're going to currently capture this year, which is going to be, I believe, we said something close to, in excess of 350,000. I can't remember exactly, but it's, it's definitely increasing. But so you currently have a fund balance of over $400,000. Okay?
Great.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I might as well stay up here.
Yeah. All right, moving on to item I, reports, resolutions, and recommendations. Number 1, sign graphics quote. So in the packet, it does include the quote. We've discussed this. We voted on it that we were going to do option number 3, which is the larger illuminated sign. I'm sure Mr. Carlisle's got something to add, but we, part of the park design where it's gonna go, and we had a little bit of confusion of this, is the design of the park gonna include a base for the sign? Or does the sign company provide a base? And the sign company is not going to provide like a concrete slab, but what they do is they include two pillars for the sign to go in, just so it doesn't get knocked over. I know that our original plan that we agreed on was gonna be like a concrete slab. I think the only reason I'm thinking that that would be a good idea is, over time erosion. It's sinking into the ground, I guess concrete could sink too. But that was a part of, I believe, is not included in the new bid from the.
What is the material that they're showing in their design then, if that's not a base?
Right,
Right.
so the base is gonna be a veneer and.
Yeah.
And it's, it's going to be essentially like a sign.
Yeah.
When we first discussed it, it sounded like there was gonna be a concrete slab, in the.
Foundation.
Foundation, thank you.
Yeah.
And then the same thing as what's going to be underneath the pavilion, and then the sign would go on top of it. Is what my understanding was when we discussed with Chris's
But
design.
the sign graphics proposal,
Mhm.
and they clarified it, indicates that they don't need to have a foundation, and they need to have, they design it on footings, basically.
Yes.
Or poles. So I mean, the only reason why you would do otherwise, I believe, is if you had soil conditions that didn't support that.
Well, I thought we were doing stone,
Veneer on the bottom?
so I guess I most monument signs are on two posts holding them up in the air. They're not in a huge concrete footing that's,
Correct.
8 feet wide and
And that's what
42
they're
inches
saying.
deep. And those are cemented in anyway,
Yes.
just like a deck post would be, but they're probably aluminum or powder coated steel or
Yes.
whatever they are. Point being, we don't have a picture of the sign in this packet, but the pictures that were emailed out of the sign,
Here.
thank you,
Nice.
has this large stone base.
Sure.
So to have that large stone base and all of that cultured stone and mortar hanging off of the sign would be the clarification, how is that? This sign looks like a sign that would be sitting on a foundation because of all the stone. So if it didn't have stone, it would be different. So I guess I'm not clear. I guess I want to make sure that the words we're all using for the parts they're included, that we're all saying the same, we're all talking about the right thing, because that seems weird that they're going to suspend all this stone and that huge stone pillar all in the air off of a couple of posts in the middle of the sign. Seems,
Well,
and maybe it's a 4 post or 6 posts or more than that, I don't
the
know.
problem is, we have not had any communication with the sign company. This has been done secretly, which is fine, by a DDA effort.
Yeah.
So, we can only rely upon what they have written
Okay.
and what you've clarified. I think if you're not sure about it, that's something that should be clarified before you award the bid for the sign.
Well, and I think that the sign's the least time sensitive if you had to pick between the sign and the park being approved to go into production. The sign's a lot less of a project, so it wouldn't prevent it from going in on time or not. If we
No.
had to get some clarification on literally just the foundation of the sign, because I not read where the company that's installing the park had that sign foundation in there, and then they
Correct.
removed it from their
Well,
quote, so that verbiage and that potential is still,
Well, it wasn't just a foundation, there was also an allowance in there for a sign, wasn't
yeah,
there?
that big number.
There was
Yeah.
also an allowance in there for a sign, so that's why you had the large number there, and that's why the cost has been significantly reduced.
I don't think this sign could be on poles. I
No,
mean, like,
I don't-
so we're not talking about the same sign, or
Yeah.
the poles are not the
Totally
correct
confused.
verbiage.
She,
Right.
Because,
she's not describing it as,
Elevated poles. It sounds like it's.
no, they're foundational poles that the sign is set on in the base. You don't see the poles. as has been,
Maybe it's helicoils, you know, and then they, on
Yeah.
top of that is the
Right.
foundation for the stone,
Right,
you
not
know,
two
or
poles.
something.
But this,
Right.
this whole side of it, even if it's not the exact one, goes into
And?
It was
this,
and.
right? So it's not like
Venster.
it's separate from this.
Well, they're
the other one.
supplying the stone and everything, the whole thing, the sign company.
So,
is one huge.
I
Yeah,
guess
what
that's
you're
my
saying, Dick,
question.
makes more sense than two poles holding it up, because that
Yes.
It
verbiage.
is my understanding just by, that there was gonna be footings, there was gonna be,
Well, the culture stone is not,
two posts to
cannot sit
really
if
just make sure it
it's-
doesn't
isn't
get
any
knocked
foundation.
over.
How
Those
you
are
gonna
gonna
So
be
maybe
driven into
they're
the ground,
talking
and then it's
about the
rested on that
connection
ground. It's
between
I
this
don't think-
foundation and the sign itself, you know,
I
that-
just,
how
we
that's
either need a
mounted.
picture or we need a better description.
But
'cause
even
I think
so, this side of it being
It's right,
attached to the,
Vinstra.
to the
Vinstra.
structure. Okay, I can see two small poles here being in the center and this wrapped around it, but this side of it still would have some sort of connection. It's
Yeah.
not separate.
No, we're talking about the whole thing as a whole, with the stone and everything. Who's putting in the foundation for that?
Right, but I mean, it just doesn't, that couldn't be up in the air.
Right.
No.
Specifically, she said that there will be two concrete footings, 48 inches deep and 18 inches in diameter
Yeah,
to
okay,
support
that's not a
two internal
Yeah.
steel posts fabricated to the sign structure. So those are just essentially be in the ground and to prevent the
With the
sign from
foundation.
Yeah,
knocking
but
over.
that's not describing the foundation you would need for all of this stonework and
Right.
this column being
Right.
built. That's different.
I think that emails, clarify, but I think yeah. Just going from memory here, but I read that email with that description, and I think they basically indicated that that would be sufficient to support their sign, assuming good soil conditions.
Yes, compacted soil.
Yeah. So if we have unsuitable soils, then a larger foundation would be required, and that's not included in their quote. Their quote is just the two sonotubes, basically.
Right, but
to
that's
support the
where
sign.
there could be some confusion, because in a typical ground sign, that's what you would have as the foundation to hold up a ground sign. That's 18 by 18 by 48 inches, you know, is to support the tube. I'm talking about the stone columns and all of the stonework and the limestone or the base that the sign sits on top of, you know what I mean? So that's where, I haven't, it's the clarity, I don't know how that, you can't put all this cultured stone dangling in the air off of, I don't care how big the foundation is, it's
And-
cantilevering it out would not work with this column, that's just
fair.
not
Yeah,
feasible.
Their design package was more schematic. I think the structural drawing that you're looking for how that would all be encapsulated and held together and then sit on those two
Yes.
posts is like the next step in that process. They need to submit a detailed drawing indicating how that would all work, but
So
the
are they
email-
doing the stone then, or we need to find someone else to do the stone? Because now I'm confused.
So we, maybe we'll just jump into the next discussion
sorry.
here, but we went back to the low bidder for our project, for the park project, and asked them to delete the entire scope of the sign from their
Yep,
bid.
yep.
Right.
So all we would be doing, if we move forward with the revised bid recommendation letter, is basically masquerading that area level and then bringing power to it. And then the sign company would come in and have to do the foundation and the entire sign as part
Right.
of their scope. The caveat, and I guess maybe where this conversation's going, if it does pivot to doing some more of a substantial foundation, there's gonna be some spoils generated from that. So costs would need to be set aside to haul those off-site, because there won't be enough room on-site to, spread those out and store them.
Well, we can talk to the sign company about their foundation. I think that's where the conversation needs to go. Because if they're coming in and pouring a 48-inch, a couple 48-inch deep footing, 18 by 18, they're rolling in with a short load of concrete anyway. If they need to excavate some more and put it, I think we can figure that out with the sign company. How are they going to build this sign and warranty it? And that it's gonna be structural. And they're gonna have to just come up with it. And it's really not on, now that we've taken it out of the hands of the landscaping company, it doesn't cloud up their deal, because it's already removed. So they're still just specifically what they bid. We'll deal with the sign foundation as a separate entity, most likely, through the sign company. It's probably included, we're just not understanding that, I think. Because I can't know any other way of building this.
I agree.
Yeah,
of
I see the two companies.
Well, I think that's why the
working hand in
original,
hand.
the original design that we talked about with Chris was going to be a concrete foundation that the sign would go on top
Yeah.
of.
Like a pad.
Yeah,
Right, but now we're saying that that's been removed because the sign company is not requiring that to,
well, the sign
Do it,
company
but-
needs to put in whatever foundation they need. I would assume that this tower is cinder block. I would assume that the whole base of this covered in stone is cinder block. I mean, it's all,
But still, they gotta have some foundation.
you know what I
before they
mean?
put the
It's all
cinder
just
block.
foundation stuff. It's
You
just,
gotta have a plan.
I think there's a miscommunication that we could be, that what they're talking about may be, come up and support that
Unless-
main sign and the
Unless
rest
the
of it's
culture
secondary, but I
stone
don't
could be
know.
fake, like, these plastic mold, whatever.
That's not what we're buying.
I'm just saying, that way you're not
Shouldn't
required
cost 50
for.
grand.
We're not
You
doing
would have to
plastic
have-
rock.
I mean, it's too big.
stone veneer.
It's too
Yeah,
big.
it's right. I think, I feel comfortable that we can work that out with the sign company,
Yeah.
you know? But that's my opinion.
May I ask how that's gonna be worked out and who's going to do it?
No, you may not.
Well,
Can I get a second?
Well, we just need, I mean, I think we have, I mean, because
Carlisle.
eventually Jason's gonna be, we're gonna need to have some coordination between the general contractor and the sign contractor. So, I mean, as long as you're not expecting us to resolve that,
yeah, I've got, I would,
Who is gonna coordinate these two contractors? Are you guys contracted to oversee this for us? Because you'd be the people that would need to be the ones who, you're the engineers.
That was the topic I wanted to ask tonight, because normally we would be contracted by the township to provide inspection services for this.
Yeah,
So we are under contract for construction administration, so answering RFIs and contractor questions, things like that. But the escrow for actual inspection and testing has not been created yet. So I was gonna look for a little direction as to how we would go about doing that, if that's something I go through, Dave Moran with, and we do that, or where that goes.
no, just come up with, the paperwork, come up with something, whatever the process, normal process is, we have to do it, but I would feel more comfortable, someone has to do the inspections anyway, we just don't have that mechanism in place yet, but,
it has normally been the township engineer
right.
who's been responsible for the bid package.
And I think that as part of that, the coordinate, we're entrusting you to oversee this project for us. Doing inspections, you got the bids, coordinate it, you have a full understanding of it, and then we wanna also, I think we wanna contract you to coordinate coordinate the two companies for us, Who else is gonna coordinate the sign company and the
So
landscaping
shouldn't he
company?
be involved with the sign now, rather than waiting till later?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
going
think
with
so,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we can step in and
Okay.
ask these questions, now that I've got an idea of what you're looking for, have them refine their pricing and provide a structural detail for that foundation that addresses your concerns. And then honestly, these two contractors are gonna end up working together, because our contractor's gonna have excavation equipment out there, so if we're gonna do a foundation, they're just gonna have our contractor dig it, and then they'll come in and pour it, so, no issues there. What I'll do is I'll put a proposal together to address that scope and to address the inspection and testing. We'll submit that in for approval, and then we'll be out there, doing the testing on the aggregate, the concrete, and overseeing construction on behalf of the DDA and the township as well.
That's what I
Nice.
like.
But we'll have detailed plans to see how this is going to develop before that.
I did what I
right?
could.
Yeah,
right?
so the sign package that you have and what was provided to us was schematic. There's another step that needs to be prepared before that sign can go to construction. So, I think most likely, I'll reach out to the sign company, but they're gonna want some sort of contract to move forward, and then they'll prepare those shop drawings.
So I guess, I don't know how, if we're for sure going to, I mean, we know what we want, but if they're not talking about the same items we are, how do we do a contract when we still have this gray area of the foundation? Because we don't have a contract with the construction company, and we won't have one with the sign company in any clear statement.
And I don't think it's critical at this point that you have the contract with the sign company. We have the proposal from them. I think there's some clarification that needs to happen before you award that to the sign company. But there's no downside to awarding the contract, the next item on your agenda, because that's everything else, that's the park. And they're preparing the site for this sign. So I don't think delaying a month to get this clarification so that you're absolutely sure what you're getting in terms of the sign, I don't think there's any harm in that, is there? Okay.
No, but we're not signing the signed contract,
No.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
No,
So we're moving ahead with a park, which I agree,
Yes.
that can all, the construction of that
Yes.
can go through.
Yeah.
But, depending on what the foundation ends up
Yeah.
being, could be
Right.
drastically different from one end to the
Right.
other, so we kind
Yeah,
of,
I think we're all on
And
board with the sign.
I'm basically
We just
agreeing
need
with
some
you. I don't think,
clarification
and
with
I don't
it.
think there's
We're
anything
not
critical about
redesigning
delaying
it or
that until we get clarification.
Changing our mind.
I kinda like Gus's idea of plastic rocks.
No.
Okay.
all right,
Well, that way you don't need no foundation, but if you're gonna do it, definitely you need it.
So
Even if you
I,
put a
I think that
cinder
we
block,
should
you gotta have
figure out what
foundation.
do we want to have
Some kind of
a
metal
concrete foundation
foundation.
for the sign? Or do we want to have just the footings that, the
It
sign
won't work
company's
with
gonna
the,
require?
I wouldn't, it's gotta have a foundation underneath it for all the stonework. It's not, there's some miscommunication here, because
Yeah.
what they're saying is not possible. You can't build that whole entire sign hanging in the air on two posts.
I think she's just
Not
talking
possible.
I don't think
about
it's not hanging in the
this
air. I don't
part of
think
But
it.
even if it's
Is
an inch
just
off the ground or
that.
laying on the ground, no matter what, the stone has to have
Something.
all that cinder block has to be on a 42-inch deep footing, so the frost doesn't move it. The whole entire sign has to be on a 42-inch deep footing
The
And
square.
that's fine.
to support that
I think we just
sign.
let him do some research and then we talk about this next month, because we're discussing something that doesn't matter until we have the
Yeah,
information
maybe-
in front of us.
If I could get maybe a
Jason.
consensus on a preference, would you want the foundation to be raised, elevated and exposed, or do you want it flush with the ground? And I would probably steer you towards maybe having it elevated a little bit, just from a maintenance standpoint, for weed whipping or whatever. Now we're hitting that and not the sign material.
Yes.
I agree, because it's,
Yeah.
It's stone.
and ground contact with cultured stone has a tendency to blow off,
Correct.
is
Plus
a
if there's any
problem.
settling.
So, not recommended.
And that's,
So, yeah, like the foundation could be a little bit higher than the elevation.
Yeah, so it would be a concrete slab, but maybe a little bit wider and longer than the
Yeah.
sign, elevated 4 to 6 inches above the ground surface around it,
And they mulch up to that.
and then you mulch up to that, yep.
which is what we originally had
Correct.
in the design plan.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Spot on.
So if we just stick to what we originally
Yeah,
talked
nothing's
about.
changed in the design, just
No.
we want clarification that it's being built out with a foundation and cinder block. And I don't think, I think that's the only way they would have proposed it. That's why I think there's a disconnect
Yeah, I
of
think there's-
conversation.
There's a bunch of ways to get to that look.
What I'm saying is that the sign company is not going to pour the concrete foundation
How do you know that?
because of email correspondence. They said that they're only going to do footings, that the concrete slab is not required for them to do the sign. So if we want to have a concrete slab, then we'll have to have the park contractor install it.
Okay, so if they could put the whole thing in on a footing with no slab, it would just go right to the trench footing, that'd be it, that's what that's descripting.
We just need to get you.
Now, if we're talking
I
about,
think
and
we
again, this is an add-on, if you were talking about adding a pad, an oversized finished concrete pad that was elevated 4 inches on top of that spread footing, and then or on top of the trench footing, and then you put your cultured stone and all of that on there, that is not what we originally discussed, the slab part.
Right.
We just discussed the sign, in which it can be done with no slab on a trench footing, the way it sits. And the stone will just go right into the mulch.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to them, find out if they have those capabilities to do the pad that we're talking about, and then we can report back at the next meeting, whether that's in addition to their contract or we need to add it to the park.
And if they will do the trench footing but don't do the pad, and they'll stick their poles up or whatever they gotta do, then before you come back, give us a square foot price on the guys doing the
Yeah.
park.
to coordinate that.
The
Yep, we can
price
do
on
that.
the pad, it's gonna be a small little
Should be
pad. It won't be much.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so,
No changes to the sign, though.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the sign's fine, but
Yeah.
we need to figure out the foundation, so I think we can move past that. When is the contractor able to start the project if we award it to them?
Yeah, so they'd like to do it in the spring, so as soon as frost laws and the weather allow, so it'd be an April, May project. So they wanna get kicked off as soon as possible, and then with that, we would have them basically complete landscaping ahead of the, July, August hot season and the planting restrictions there, so they're ready to go right out of the gate.
Well, what about, how long did they say it was gonna take? Is there any chance of having it in by the 4th, or
So
for
we've got
some
it set
sort
up
of?
for like a 60-day duration, so assuming everything goes according to plan, it'll be done by then, yep.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wanna do some sort of a America 250 unveiling thing there probably, or something. They got all those, we wanna unveil it this summer, so it sounds like they're gonna get it done in time for a summer event, maybe. If all goes well.
It's possible. One thing I noticed in the bid here is on line 13, it says that to reuse the existing well, which I believe that we're past the point of knowing that it's not there. And they said that cost is gonna be $19,500, and then in an additional item, alternate number 1, which is line item 15, it says well installation, which is $19,500. So were they? I don't understand why they would charge almost 20 grand to reuse a well and then the same exact price to add a new well.
Yeah. So when we developed the plans and the specifications, we did all of our research with the health department. The well that was there before was decommissioned, may not have been fully abandoned, but the records weren't there to say if it was something that we could reactivate or not. So we set the plans and the bid specs up so that the base scope would be to investigate, can the well be reused, and if it can, what equipment would be needed to bring it back into service. So that was one item. And then the other item was assuming that can't be reactivated, to just install a brand new well. As we went through the bidding process, all of the contractors were able to get in touch with the crew that actually decommissioned the well and found out that it's not able to be brought back into service. So the contractor that the low bidder just put the same price for both of them, and you're not doing both, you're doing one or the other. So we will not be moving forward with the investigation.
Mhm.
We're only doing the bid alternate of installing a new well.
So this additional cost would not need to be added in there?
The bid alternate is added in, but the base bid, 19,500, is subtracted out.
So it would wash it out?
It's a washout, yep. So
Okay.
it's one or the other, it's not both.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Have you
Ms.
dealt with these
Harper?
guys before?
We have not. After the bids came in, we actually conducted interviews of their references and the next low bidder. They look to be a very reputable company. They've got all the materials and equipment needed to do this. Their references all spoke very highly of them. We also conducted a post-bid interview with them to kind of go through schedule and their thought process on this, and just to make sure that they had included everything that we assumed they had included in their bids that we had identified on the plans. And we both came out of the meeting confident in their abilities.
Do they do Detroit Public Schools? Is this the same group? Do you know?
They may. I can't remember
Who are the
offhand.
references that you spoke of?
There was a whole list of them, and I don't have them.
That's okay. I'll look later.
Yeah.
The name looks familiar.
So, last
It's
year,
a woman-owned company.
we were,
Is it? Then it
still
is the
talking
same
about
one I thought.
irrigation last year. Did we solve that issue, or have we not?
That's a
She's
good question.
cheaper.
So Ms. Harper is asking about irrigation,
That's what
which
she's
in our original
She knows better.
design plan was the last item. It was an irrigation system.
That's how you get the
Is that included in this bid?
So it.
No,
speak to it?
we-
Yeah.
So what happened to that?
If you remember, David, we had, when Chris did the original design plan, we
Yeah, they did.
designed this with materials that were low irrigation or low water usage plants, and that's why you're putting a well in instead of an irrigation system. So, no, an irrigation system was not included, but because, and Chris felt because of the size of the site, that with the water supply there, you would be able to maintain these plants that are being proposed.
We will be putting a sprinkler system in, or that
No.
will be hand watering?
Well, you'll be
Hose
using some-
watering.
hose
Hand watering.
watering, or using some kind of hand sprinkler,
Hand watering.
some kind of sprinkler system above the ground.
And who's gonna do that?
You can contract for it.
Not the
I think that's what
DPW,
Hmm?
not a DPW would do that.
They can, somebody will, gonna have to do it, or we gotta hire a landscaping company to come and take care of this thing for us, you know?
What about if we get the water from the main?
You did. Here we go again.
So that was problematic because the main's located out under Dixie Highway. So we would have to tear apart the drive approach and go out into the road to make that connection. So that was more cost than installing a new well with the hose bib that we have proposed now.
Yeah. And we're not trying to come full circle and ask questions that have already been answered, but we just want clarification because we're gonna be voting on, this proposal, which is, it's rather high in some of our opinion. So we just wanna make sure that we're aware in the beginning of what is included. And, I was going based on what Chris had designed, which does include the concrete slab for the sign, which does include irrigation, which does include the well installation, and then there's some things that, got changed, like different types of plants got moved around that we're not using anymore, or different numbers of plants. So, obviously, somewhere between the design and the RFP that went out, things changed, which is fine. But I think before I feel confident voting on it, like what got eliminated, what got added.
I don't really understand what you're talking about.
I've got it right, I've got
But
Chris's
what is actually,
design
what
from your.
substantively is actually changed between the plan that you approved and what was in the bid package?
I just explained that. So the irrigation
Okay.
is one, which you're saying we're not gonna add anymore. And then there's some other little stuff.
But we
like,
did
for
have
instance-
discussions about that with the board, but if you wanna add irrigation back in, we can do it.
Well, I don't think we came to a conclusion, last I remember anyways, refresh my memory if I'm wrong, but last I heard, or where I thought it was left off, is that it was gonna come through an easement off of Waterford Road and cut across the restaurant, and that would be our tap in. That's where I thought it was left. But
That was an option of bringing water to the site. Was doing that from Dave,
But that's the last I'd heard, so that's why I'm asking the question, how are we gonna initiate
You
these
think that's gonna
plans?
cost less than $19,000?
No,
I don't think so either.
But the question is that we don't have a man watering, it's automatic. And so that's, by the time you do the man hours and into that, you're gonna be up there too, so.
I thought
Yes.
most of these things that were picked kind of grow on their own and don't need to be watered.
They
Am
still
I-
gotta get
That's
started.
what we-
And
Yeah.
any tree's gotta be.
Right,
have
so
water
we're
in it.
talking mostly about the beginning of the project though. We're not talking like long-term, because long-term, right, rain, snow.
correct.
I just, like, to me, putting a sprinkler system in to water a few plants, first off, the water bill,
So, no, it's got a well.
It's a well, but
We're
There's
paying for
gonna
a
be a
well.
well, so.
oh, we're not tapping in. Okay, so you're well, whatever. You're
Right.
gonna put it, and then you're gonna deal with the maintenance of a sprinkler system for, I guess, I don't have concerns with not having a sprinkler system there.
Yeah.
I was very much under the understanding that once we get it going, it kind of grows on its own.
And the contractor is responsible for establishing growth. There's a maintenance and guarantee period where they have to water it and they have to make sure that it takes and it grows. And if
right.
it dies, then they replace it under their warranty. So, once it's established, then it becomes the responsibility of this group to decide. on maintenance.
So when is establishment, considered when the ball goes in the ground and it's done, or, like with the
Is it a year?
heavier,
2
the
years?
heavier
Was it 2
stuff,
years?
I mean,
I think I saw
how
somewhere.
much
2
is that?
years somewhere.
Yeah.
Right,
I
2
saw
years?
2 years somewhere. So
So,
my,
one year after acceptance, but I think there was something in the special provision that that had a number of growing seasons where they were responsible for it.
Yeah, I think we added to it.
So I guess my thing is there anything else that got, because what I thought is, yes, I remember talking about, these are, plants that don't require a ton of water. But we did discuss, well, what if we have a
Yeah.
drought? What if we have a dry season? So that's why we have the well, which is great. But on this design that Chris drew up are these items, and some of them got changed, and I just want to make sure that that reflects in what what went out for the contractor to bid on. Because we don't want to have an expectation of, we paid Chris to do this elaborate drawing, which is beautiful, we all agreed on it, right? And then we get to the end stage and it's in the ground, we're like, where's this, where's that?
I guess, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're talking about. What was bid out was what was in the bid document, was the plan that Chris designed. Now, at that point in
You have it
time.
right here.
He hadn't quantified, I mean, well, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Are everything's all spec'd out on the plans for them? All the plants, all the vegetation,
Yeah,
all this stuff is
Yeah,
all here,
yeah.
all
And where
listed.
is-
It's in the RFP, I read it, that's how I
I
kind
thought
of
it was over here, but now it's
looked
not,
through
right?
what is included, what is not.
So you're
Pretty much all the
saying-
same plants, I think we got
Quickly
rid of
show me,
wild
is
strawberries,
the-
which
I
is,
thought the well
which is
was way
fine.
back here, is that
Okay,
right?
The location doesn't matter.
this is what we're getting here.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks
Okay.
visibly like the
I
design,
wanna
and
say
I think
that's
that
what
there
I
were some
thought, that's
plants
what- okay.
removed
Right.
That's where it even.
and
lower.
added maybe for space, maybe they didn't need as much, clustering.
Right.
So I don't want to be a broken record of what Tara said,
Mm-hmm.
but Dave, I just want to say, I don't share your concern regarding the irrigation,
Okay.
because I do remember the conversation where we talked about the different options and how expensive they were going to be to run water in.
Mm-hmm.
And we did decide to go with plants that, once they're established, and I do remember the 2 growing cycles, but I will also point out my wife is a horticulturalist.
Mm-hmm.
So I would naturally know that anyway, because I've lived with her for a lot of years.
Okay.
So I don't share the same concern, I just want to vocalize that. I think I agree with Tara, that I remember the conversation about the irrigation, so I'm not surprised by it at all.
I don't think we ever came to a conclusion on it, was
I
my
feel like we
point, is
did,
like if
because I
that is
remember
what
looking
is
at the screen
going
while
to
he was presenting
happen,
it,
that's our
And
conclusion.
this is what we
Well,
arrived
we
at.
talked about the under Dixie thing for sure, and really, the costs to go under Dixie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No,
it is.
no.
We'll
No
price
doubt.
this out anyways.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think the tie-in on Waterford Road is probably more complicated than it sounds, because you gotta go through someone else's property,
Easements.
where his parking lot is, where he already
I
has
brought
limited
up-
parking.
yeah.
So, if I may, I think that, I agree with Tara, not you. But,
You said the same thing.
nothing what he said. But so I look at it from the, what do you call it,
Spigot.
well, it's the dry well, whatever you call the apparatus. I'm not worried about getting them established, I think that's a good thing, they gotta do it. I do, with these planters and with hopefully communities' involvement and people sponsoring the park, I think we have more flexibility with the hydrant style shut off, because that winterizes itself every time you turn it on and off. It can be used by just a common person. If we only had irrigation, that becomes much more complicated because of the electricity to it, the digital stuff, all the crap that can break, blah, blah, blah. But and that wouldn't help with the above-ground planters and all of that. We'd have to have a whole nother thing. The automatically winterizing hydrant is about the most idiot-proof, simplest, fail-proof mechanism out there for year-round water, and it's the cheapest. So, and it kind of will be tucked in there, because that's another issue, is where do you go with all the other stuff that goes with the well too? The more stuff you add, automation, becomes more stuff that's exposed out there,
An irrigation system?
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
I think.
They're not-
I think we can find a way of taking care of it. And I'm hoping that the residents do it for us with their above-ground planters and, groups, not just residents, but sponsors of the park that will solicit.
Yeah, Dave, the only thing I mean, not having Chris here, the only thing that I can think might have happened here is after this discuss, because it was he that was here before you discussing the plan, Chris from our office,
Yeah.
that some of these materials that were on the original plan, he modified it to add more drought-resistant and native materials after that discussion because of the lack of the irrigation system. That's my speculation, but not having him here, I have to think that's what happened.
Okay.
I think we had talked about a couple things too, like if, like, let's say we're growing strawberries, right, and they're falling and it's getting on the sidewalk and stuff, we had talked a little bit about taking that out so that we're not leaving, or we're not carrying junk's probably not the right word.
Staying
but-
in concrete, yeah.
Correct, and so like things like that, I think there was a purple flower too maybe, or maybe that was with the strawberry, but there was talk of things he was going to eliminate so that it didn't have like a
That-
track
that is-
following.
That I do remember.
Where it's
specifically.
beautiful in your backyard and that's great, but in a public place where people are either touching or it's falling, it doesn't really make sense.
I mean, seriously, had I known this was gonna be a question, I would've had Chris here at this meeting,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that's what you were
No,
questioning.
and I apologize, I'm looking, I have this design from when he, first created it, and I know
Correct.
things change. And, I just wanted to make sure that if there's additional things that were pulled out of this, that we know, just so we're not like, hey, where'd this go in the future? So,
understand.
I looked through the RFP, I know it is included, but,
I know
things
there was
like
no
that.
diminution in the value or the quality, of what is being proposed. I think it was designed to make these more maintainable plants here and also responding, and I do remember those discussions about trying to, to eliminate plants that would require more maintenance because of the materials that they were dropping and things like that.
And I think we talked a little bit about that because the animals then gravitate towards like the fruits or whatever's growing and then you have more issues and so, yeah. So in my opinion, that's probably a good one that got removed anyways and, we definitely don't want animals or, then you gotta clean up after them too, so.
I just didn't think we came to a conclusion as to actually how things were gonna get watered and what was gonna actually happen.
Yeah.
I think we discussed a lot of stuff and nothing was decided, so, last I was
I
here.
agree.
I love it.
And so there was an adjustment in price, originally it was 303, and then we removed the sign element of that, so now we're at 248, 628.
Yes, that letter deleted the sign. It's still provided for mass grading and providing power to that area. And then it is also recommending deleting the well investigation and then going with the bid alternate of installing the new well.
Okay. So then, we put back in this price for the sign.
I mean, a cement pad is not, is that what you're referring to, put back in the sign?
No, because
Okay.
the sign is gonna be separate, it's gonna be
Yeah,
in
okay.
addition to the,
Yeah.
to.
Because the cement pad
248.
should not cost very much.
Let's hope. So we're right around the 305.
With everything.
Everything will wash.
With including the sign
Okay.
and the well.
300 all in, that seems not crazy.
So, and Dave, I know you and I talked about this, but like, for some reason, that's what I remember us originally talking about. That's about where we'd come in.
Mhm.
So I'm not surprised by that at all. That's exactly what I expected.
When Chris did the cost estimate for you, we had a range, a low and a high, and the high was 277,000. The irrigation system was not a significant dollar figure in there. But it only included $25,000 allowance for the sign, because at that time, I think some of the discussions you were having with the sign maker, that's approximately that dollar. So now if you add the additional 25 or almost $30,000 additional for the sign you're choosing, now you're over 300,000. So it's pretty much in line.
Yeah.
And these cost estimates were done 7 months ago.
Mhm.
And we
So-
lost a lot of time on this project in the beginning, too.
Well, that's why I'm so adamant about clarification, because I don't want to extend this again. I don't want to move this into next meeting. I'd like for us to have a clear understanding which direction we're going. I know how I'm gonna vote, but I want everybody on this board to know how, what we're getting for this dollar amount, because it is on the higher end, but yes, it's in line with the higher end that you proposed.
And it's your first project,
Yes.
and for, as a DDA, which is important.
And this group, just if anyone cares, they do all of Olympia development, they do the city of Romulus, Huntington Place, Detroit Public Schools. So they do, this is just another, like, it's not, they've done bigger projects.
It's a
than this.
smaller
So, yeah,
project.
it's Henry Ford, I mean, so they have some big names, so
Well, I
I
think
would
the-
think they're,
I think the price reflects the quality that we expect. We didn't go cheap, built by design. This is all as much as you could, nice stuff as you could jam in there, you know? So, I mean, we got a
Yeah.
pavilion, we got benches, we got seats, we got signs, I mean, it's exactly what we hoped for. I think it's more than reasonable. I'm excited. Been a long time coming.
Yeah.
People are gonna know where Independence Township is if
I'll
you come
look for
from
you
the
when I
south.
drive by, I expect to see
I'll
you
be the
sitting in
one
there.
watering. I'll be the one watering stuff.
Across the
You
road.
kidding
There
me?
you go, I'm gonna call on you.
And Super Soaker.
Yeah.
His office is across the street,
got your number,
absolutely.
That'll be me.
You know what you just
I'll be the guy in the big brim hat.
This is gonna be in the minutes. This is
Sam,
gonna be in
it's
the
dry,
minutes.
can you go water? Call
Make
that bucket.
make a cigar canopy for him.
Call
over
that
there.
bucket.
There you go.
We'd attract a lot of help.
Yeah,
You know where he buys the cigars, too.
yeah. All right, well,
I think we're
What?
ready to make a motion. We'll have to do a roll call. Sam, why don't you make a motion?
I don't even have no one did a mock-up or anything, did they? What,
They did not. We'll help you, Sam.
We're a hands-on board here, Sam.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the Pocket Park at 5854 Dixie Highways, proposal from the Premier Group Associates, for the construction of the Pocket Park on Dixie Highway, per their bid submitted, and reviewed by Nowak and Frous Engineers. We got a date on it, submitted March 14th, 2024.
I second.
All right.
We need to do a roll call though. Ms. Harper.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That was the company.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just need to answer yes or no as I go through. John Dolan,
Yes.
Sam Morocco.
Yes.
Tara Hansen.
Yes.
David Gittens,
Yes.
Gus Satuna,
Yes.
Kim Harper, yes.
All right. Congratulations on that. We've been working on getting to this point for a while. It's gonna be a beautiful park.
Can't
Yep,
wait to see.
excited.
Okay, so moving on, we're at I3. We, to discuss the flag verbiage. Last time we were in a present meeting, we discussed the America 250 sign. There's a 250 committee that made the sign say Clarkston, Independence Township, America 250. I think at that meeting, we had discussed that we wanted to eliminate the Clarkston. Since then, they had, I believe, a trustee meeting that agreed upon keeping the Clarkston. So as part of the
What-
DDA,
Okay, go ahead.
we want to know, do we want to be uniform with this signage exactly saying Clarkston, Independence Township? Or do we want to just say Independence Township, America 250?
Dave, can I see what?
So,
Yes.
I would-
Oh, you were.
can I clarify? Because I don't think Sam was present at that township meeting.
Oh,
There wasn't an official vote. It was the supervisor who was previously against it.
Okay.
I watched the meeting.
Yeah, he just vocally said, he gave an explanation as to why he was now
oh,
for
I
it.
thought there was a vote on it. Okay, I
you
wasn't at
guys-
the meeting either.
I want to, so let me give you, so at that meeting, we all discussed that because this, so the Clarkston Independence Library that's using this is a collaboration between the library, the Daughters of the American Revolution, Independence Township Park, the Village, everybody. So they had T-shirts made, and it said Clarkston Independence Library. Then, when we got it, at our meeting, if you remember, we discussed it because we were identifying a corridor in Independence Township paid for by the people who own property in the corridor, that we were going to only identify Dixie Highway and the DDA corridor as Independence Township, and those letters were gonna get bigger to identify that. So then I went to the meeting, after our meeting, where there was some dialogue because Chuck had, said that originally he didn't want Clarkston on there as an official logo of the township, which is completely different than what we're doing, but anyway. And I explained to this group of 30 people what we had discussed, that we don't have any issue with what they're doing. They're a collaboration between a whole bunch of people and the Brandon Library and everything else, but we're not, and that we were not going to promote Clarkston in our DDA district that we're trying to identify solely for the people in the DDA. And everyone was like, cool, that makes total sense, get it, no big deal, move on, you know? But, so then John and David got, I had got word of that because this was approved for that, for them to print T-shirts for all the stuff that's gonna be happening in the park and at the library and at the schools and all their events that they were gonna, put on through the park system and everybody through the whole summer, that they were gonna use the combination logo. So all I had commented was, we had distinctively agreed that we weren't going to put Clarkson on there. I went and explained to everyone why. No one had any issues either way, and I don't care, but I didn't, that Dave was getting ready to order them, and I just said, well, wait a minute, we already agreed to one thing. If we wanna change it, that's fine too. But I think it's important that we stick to what we agreed to at the meeting, unless we publicly decide that as a group we want to alter it, and I don't care.
I like that it says Clarkston on it. Most people truly, unless they pay their actual taxes, don't know that they live in Independence Township. Most people, if a kid's driving down the road, they think they live in Clarkston. Yes, do we live in Independence Township? If you were to ask my kids who know enough, they will still say they live in Clarkston. They do not say they live in Independence Township. When you're coming through town and you're using Google Maps, it says Clarkston on there. It does not say Independence Township. So in my opinion, if we're trying to, we want people to know what we are and who we are, you put Clarkston on it. But if not, then you put Independence Township, I don't have a preference. I just think if we want to match everyone else, it kind of makes sense. We are trying to become a township as one.
So, Dave, have you already ordered the signs?
Nope.
Okay, just want to make sure this conversation is even relevant.
We wouldn't have added it because it wasn't on there.
Okay.
Let's get to the bottom of it,
So these flags are for our DDA district.
Yes.
They are not within the Clarkston boundaries.
No.
At all.
They
Do we
may
know
choose
if
to
the
order
village?
their own. Though.
Yeah, because the village might order the same ones. We don't know.
They were talking about doing the ones with the soldiers
Oh, they were?
memorial.
Oh, nice.
For the village
Love
at
that.
that joint meeting. So at that meeting, there was not a
Awesome.
discussion of them turning this into flags.
Okay.
But we're only putting flags in the DDA district, so that's down White Lake Road, M15 to the city line, obviously, and Dixie Highway, to Fleming, or to whatever it is, Deer
And-
Lake Inn.
So I believe that our mission was to identify this district to people and to make them aware of what we're trying to do to enhance this district. I believe that when you drive down Dixie Highway, you don't think you're in Clarkston, you still think you're in Waterford. So the sign going up there will help immensely, saying now you're at Independence. And I think the flags of going on Dixie Highway and White Lake will help enforce that thought, you are in Independence. So my vote would be to keep Independence on it as was originally voted on,
Only,
only.
not Clarkson. Okay.
That would be my
Uh,
thought. If that's, our mission is to identify our district.
Gus, do you have any thoughts?
No, I would go with her opinion, yeah, especially having a business on that side of the town. Always people think I'm in Waterford. I hear that a lot, and especially people who lives in Independence. but they, you know, because their kids, especially the neighborhood behind the store, their kids goes to Waterford, school district, so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't mind either way, to be honest with you, but I do like uniformity. You know, Coca-Cola's brand is, you know, you can see it without even reading the words and you know it's Coca-Cola, right? So if we have something that's a little bit different, I mean, it's gonna look similar, but it wouldn't be the same. And, you know, to Tara's point, you know, people think of this area as Clarkston, we're Clarkston schools. So I don't think it's a blemish to have Clarkston on there. But I think that we should, vote on what we want, and then that's why we have a board, and then go with whatever we decide on.
Gus, you're a business owner on Dixie. What do you think it helps or hurts having Clarkson's name on there, or does it make a difference?
He just doesn't want to be Waterford.
Yeah, that one. Second thing, we trying to brand Independence, so I think we should do Independence.
Okay, so I guess the question is, we're trying to brand the corridor.
The corridor.
Right, but my tenant's in the
I
Karen's
get-
Carpet
I know,
Building.
let me go where
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
going with that, okay? I get your point, because no one knows the difference, and no
Right.
matter what, we're still Clarkston. So the question I'm tossing around, having a building on Dixie,
Right.
is, does it really matter if we're revitalizing the corridor under both names or one name, you know, as long as it's being advertised and there's progress and investment and we're showing interest and we're boosting everything? Does it hurt to have the familiarity of the word Clarkston tied to the corridor with as Independence Township? You know, is there really any value in being going out of our way to train people to stop saying Clarkston and say Independence Township? I don't think there is. So either embrace it or is it a moot point? It really doesn't matter either way, so go with uniformity. I'm kind of on the fence. I just didn't want to switch it up without,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so,
appreciate
you know,
that.
everybody
So-
agreeing.
Mr. Julian?
I absolutely do not care if we put up blank pieces of fabric. But if we change it, it delays the project, and I would say, for ease, leave it and let's roll.
That's a good point.
Oh, throw that in there.
Yeah.
Different perspective.
You know, this is like the first thing we try to get done, and poor Dave has been beating his head against the wall to get these darn flags, banners, signs, whatever we're allowed to call them.
Somebody make a motion.
Flags.
And you thought the park was a piece of cake.
I did not.
What if we put Independence Township at the top and put Clarkston underneath it?
I,
No.
I think uniformity
Yeah,
is
I-
the way to go.
I
It's
think-
already created. To John's point, it's already created. We don't have to change anything.
What's already created though?
The
With
sign.
Clarkston or
The
without?
logo.
yeah.
With
Yeah,
the, with
with the
Clarkson.
Clarkston?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
This exact
you're saying that's
logo.
already created and we could go?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but when we're discussing taking off Clarkston, then we're adding another step?
Yes.
Is that, I just wanna make sure
Well,
I'm
it's just
Yeah.
understanding what
having
you're
them
saying.
change
So
it.
it would probably be.
It's not a lot of work, but it's
Yeah, okay.
more than
It'd
nothing.
be- It took us 4 or 5 weeks just to get the file. We had to get Joette involved to get the file. What's that?
That's true.
Yeah.
They were very slow to respond to your
They're a very
emails.
small business. It's run by, two people in Orion.
Maybe, I think we should
Okay,
just
I
have
can
a
make a
vote. I think
motion.
we should have a,
Yep.
go ahead.
I will make a motion to approve the light pole signs as in the drawing stated Clarkston Independence Township 250. America
second.
250.
I'll second that.
All right, we've got a second roll call, please.
Oh, roll call. Gus Zatuna,
Yes.
Me too.
John Doolin,
Yes.
Sam Morocco,
Yes.
Tara Hanson,
Yes.
David Gittens,
Yes.
Kimberly Harper. No.
All right. That's a yes then. Majority rule. All right, so moving past that, we've got another section J for public comment. And again, nobody here. K, authority comments. Don't have any. And so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, guys. Great meeting.